as far as this piece of property, I have no knowledge of it, and I don't know the value, and I just don't, these are all signed, okay, the permits. Okay, while Jordan's reviewing that, we're gonna have, on Saturday, September 5th, from 10 o'clock to 3 p.m. is a Wentworth townwide yard sale. The rules have been established and are going to be posted in the Wentworth bulletin board. I'll give you a copy of them, okay? Yeah, yeah. No, to be honest, I don't know, but between the two of you, hang on, I'm going to give you. Here, John, can you? Okay, so that's the yard sale. The farmer's market continues to be successful. We have vendors that come and go, but it's really improving the participation of the town. We're getting a lot of vendors from Canaan and other towns that are coming in, and it just it has improved the viability of the town common and the Hamilton Field. What's your thoughts, Jordan, on this?
On that, the offer, I don't know, without seeing it, I couldn't say anything. I need to go look at it, but the offer seems low for anything.
They didn't make it.
It's 2000.
No, that was from October 2019.
Oh, I see.
And the board, I put a note on there, the board rejected that offer back then, and now they're coming back to see if there's just any interest, if they should pursue it.
Do you have an interest?
I would think if we have town-owned property that could be sold and put back into a tax hold, and that's something that we probably ought to look at. It would be a bid process, I would assume, and we have to have more information. I'd have to see it and look at it.
Yeah, I don't.
I can work that in.
Any discussion here?
Just make sure you set a reserve on it.
Say again?
Just make sure you set a minimum reserve
Oh, yeah.
on it.
Okay. Yeah, I personally don't have an interest in it, but if the town has an interest in it, I pursue it. Have to go at fair market value and a bid. So I would say that,
So we'll have to do more research
yes.
to make a decision.
I would say the interest in it is lukewarm, and, but we want fair market value, and it would be a bid process. Okay. Appointment of an ex officio member to the planning board? John, is that you?
Yes, sir. We requested, right now, we're supposed to have an ex officio from the select board, and the last 3 to 4 months we haven't had anyone show up.
I've been attending the meetings, you know, the Zoom meetings, you mean?
The last couple haven't been Zoom meetings, we actually had them in place, the last couple, so.
Okay.
So, if you are ex officio?
Uh,
I know that you temporarily,
I-
you did it when we first.
I did it when you first got started.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
But I don't know if you are officially our ex officio.
No, I probably don't have the time to do it,
That's what I thought.
yeah.
But we need, by state regulation, we need a select board member at our meetings.
Okay,
We'll have to decide who's going.
okay,
Palmer at one point was our ex officio, Palmer, of course, is now a board member.
okay.
So,
Because I represented it for the FEMA mitigation process. I was there for all of those, for the planning board with June Garso.
she has yet to be at our planning board meeting.
You're thinking the hazard mitigation.
Hazard mitigation,
Two different things.
two
Planning.
different things, okay.
Sonya's-
Yeah, Sonia's,
She's an alternate.
she's an alternate, yeah. And she's been keeping me up to date on what you've been doing.
But it needs a select person.
Okay, we'll have to discuss it
The
between,
ex officio has voting power.
I thought they had no voting powers.
They're actually, they do have voting powers. The ex officio can break a tie.
Yeah, it was my understanding,
We can't rotate straight out.
You know something, can it be rotated?
I thought it was one person, a representative of the select board. Now, maybe they can.
yeah, the way it was presented to me by Sonia, and how she understood it, was if I took part in this, all I was going to do was listen at the meetings, and I had no vote. I had no input. So I said, well, that doesn't make sense to get involved with that.
I guess what I'm gonna have to do is get more of the regulations environment.
I don't mind participating if you can participate. Just sit and passively listen, I will not take part.
So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna have to get more of, see if we can rotate, and I just have to get more, I'm gonna have to get regulations.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just gonna say to date,
this week I have put in multiple hours' work every single day, talking to the Attorney General's office and the state police, and not with your planning board, but I don't have enough circuits, and I'm running a farm.
yeah, I understand, sir. I'm just saying is by regulation, we're required to have someone from the select board, so the last 3
Well,
months. we've had no one.
if it's a functional position, I think we'll pursue it. If it's a functionalist position where somebody goes to a meeting and sits there and does nothing and has no input, it makes no sense for the select board to participate. Jordan?
How often do you meet?
Once a month, the first Monday of every month we meet. I should say some are canceled, because we have nothing in front of us. But for the past 2 to 3 years, we've always had a select board member. Palmer has been, so, and it's an active role. So I don't understand, it is an active.
Well, it wasn't presented to me that way. Okay. Okay.
So what I'll do is I'll come back to the board, to the select board with the RSA and what it means. But we've always had the ex officio vote, so I think there's a question.
Yeah.
More of a comment, so about the microphones that I have in the room, they're only as good as the people that actually are using them.
Oh, you
I
gotta
just-
use the
I wanna
mic.
make sure I reiterate that, so if you are speaking, for everyone that's online, because we have quite a few people online.
Okay.
Before I had the camera open, it kind of got the whole room, but it wasn't doing a good job at trying to get people over in this area, especially the select board members, so. Well, I have, obviously, the select board covered, I have an extra mic over here since, Homer is not here, but if you are gonna speak, you could try to speak into the mic.
Sure.
I appreciate it.
Okay. John, just if you can explain the RSA and the participation for the select board member, because right now we're all overcommitted. Jordan?
I don't have time to do it full time, but if we rotated, if we could do that, and I could do it for 3 days of it, that would make it easier for me.
Would you consider that if, we do have something that's a little funny in that when we have either a subdivision or a lot line adjustment,
Yeah.
there's a preliminary meeting where someone will come in and present it. It's usually the land surveyor. And we comment. All I'm asking is that if you are going to rotate, it's the same person that comes back for the vote, since you already briefed on it. If you say you can't do it, I understand. But I'll check into the RSA and I'll.
Yeah,
brief
I
you.
want to be compliant,
Yes, sir.
but I also want to be a positive influence in moving forward, okay?
In the past, we've actually, because we had quorum problems, we actually had the ex officio vote and everything else because we had a quorum problem. We
Okay.
have to have, we're mandated to have 4 people to have a quorum. So what used to happen was we always relied on the ex officio.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, sure, thank you. Okay, permission for the townwide yard sale, Jordan, you okay with that?
I'm okay with it, as long as nobody else has any specific complaints.
Anybody defer? No? Okay, so do we have to sign off on something, Linda?
I think it's
Okay. Okay, let's see. Jordan, do you want to just discuss the Hooper Hill emergency lane, so we can finish that up early?
Sure. So, last year, the previous board voted to make Cooper Hill Road an emergency lane. And we waited a year now, so it's time to get something on schedule. I'll make it short. I'm proposing that we need 4.5 15-inch culverts to fix that road. When the town took it over when the Thayer Mountain Bridge went out, Palmer, do you know about how long ago that was? The town had an emergency situation. They slapped culverts in improperly, but it was an emergency. The problem was crossed. Every single one on the whole road is crushed or exposed. The whole point of the emergency lane is so that people can get out from behind Thayer Mountain Bridge during a flood event. In 2017, the water went around Thayer Mountain Bridge and people did come out over Hooper Hill Road. But if the culverts don't function and you get that much rain and the bridge is gonna wash out, because it's one of the fastest rising rivers in the state, then Hooper Hill Road's not gonna hold up to get them out, it's a waste of time. So I came up with a number, I think it was under $1,200, and that was with a load of gravel that we don't have to have, but I'd like Paul to look at it to see if he thinks we need it. There's a shaping problem that's sending water down the road. But to purchase, 5 culverts, we cut one off, 4.5, $1,200. So you can get Paul's opinion.
Paul, your opinion?
When you say 4.5 culverts, so you're talking 90 feet of culvert?
One is a 30-foot culvert. So I'm talking about the 20-foot culverts. We need 30 feet for one of them because of the way that it is.
Okay, so you're talking about, you said 4.5 culverts, so you're talking about replacing 4.5 culverts on the road, or 4.5, 4 full culvert crossings on the road.
And one of
And
them
all the
is-
others are 20-foot long? Okay.
Yep, there's one all the way up by the end of 25, that's a little tiny steel pipe that's above the surface, that's plugged, and it backs up with water all the time. There's a couple that are crushed, and there's 2 that need to be removed, that are crushed, that are on top of the ground, that serve no purpose whatsoever. No water has ever run through them. Those should just be taken out and just.
Chief Ames is agreed, and you brought up the idea that this emergency lane is needed.
Correct.
Right, okay, so it's needed. My sense is, and correct me if I'm wrong, from the town warrant, the town has approved the funds for doing this,
Correct.
so it's a matter of executing on it.
I believe, and I could be wrong, I believe it was like $2,000 set aside specifically.
5,000.
So,
Can you do that for $5,000? And then do you have the time to do it?
Yeah, I don't know how you want to divide the time or money or anything, but I have some culverts down at the garage.
Right.
I don't know if you want to buy specific culverts for that project, or you want to use what we have at the garage. I don't think it really matters, to tell you the truth, and I'm just saying, I don't know if you want to literally purchase everything for that road so you can keep track of it, or if I keep a stockpile of 60 or 70 yards of gravel at the shop, a couple loads of gravel, and, I have some culverts
How many-
pending.
How many yards of gravel do you need to do the job?
Oh, I was only thinking that you only need maybe 1 load to reshape an area, but otherwise what's there, you can get the material right from what's there. So it's
So
just
we're
4.5
talking-
culverts, it's $1,100 if you bought them.
So, here's my point of the emergency lane. I understand completely what you're saying, but I don't think that we need to dip into that capital reserve fund if I have the money at the highway department. If we're talking $1,200. What I'm saying is, let's keep the $5,000 in there. We're talking about $1,200. Keep the $5,000 in there, and this year, if the select board decides to put another $2,000 or $3,000 in there, say 4 years from now, you'll have $10,000 in there. I'm just using a round number.
Okay.
And something comes up, we have a flood, you automatically have that $10,000 to go through construction on that road to get it passable for everybody. Not that it wouldn't be passable. Am I making sense?
So are
here?
you saying not to do the job now?
Not to take the money out.
Not to take the money?
I said we have the material that we need to work with down
Okay.
in the highway department.
Okay,
He said
then
we
I,
need to make a new purchase.
right, why don't we just, use that. So what you're proposing is you can execute this mission with what you got at the shop.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, whether they're 15 or 18-inch culverts, I don't think it really matters what size they are, and if I have to buy 15 instead of 18, I need to. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, if they're 15-inch culverts, yeah, that is standard.
What I'm saying is just let's keep the money in the capital reserve fund if we
Okay.
don't need it. That way, if we do have a dire emergency and we have a bridge go out or flooding or something happens, we have $10,000 or $15,000 if we ever needed to do some emergency work immediately.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
yes,
so
okay.
the only other part to that is it doesn't, the capital reserve in the RSA is recommended. We don't have to have one for that. It can just be part of the normal highway budget. The previous board decided to do that,
Yep.
but you could take the money out of the regular highway budget if you want to, or you could take it out of that, it doesn't matter. You don't have to have capital reserve, it's just being treated as a summer maintained road, kind of.
As long as the selectmen are okay with it and anybody has any argument with it. I mean, if we can take $1,500 or, a year out of the highway budget to do some work on Hooper Hill Road emergency lane, little bits at a time. This year, we're talking about replacing 4 culverts. I mean, if we do a little bit at a time, do a little maintenance here and there, and I will bring up this, I don't know what what you guys think of me. I'm getting the roadside mowers. I don't know what you think of me about going up through there with the boom mower
Sickle,
and
yeah.
pushing the branches back.
Yeah,
I mean,
think that's
because
a good idea.
if we did have something happen this fall, that road's pretty well got a canopy on it. I mean,
It's a question for Jeff, probably, with the fire trucks.
Jeff?
if it's an issue.
I mean, would you think that would be a good idea, just to buzz
It's
up and
gonna
down
need
it?
to be cut back.
I just want to make sure I don't have anybody from the town come screaming at me and asking why I'm going up Hooper Hill Road or anything like that, so I'm just bringing that up now.
Okay, I wrote here, approve within the highway budget, no capital reserve, signed off on it as of this date. Good, John?
At the town meeting, it can kind of hurt you in a way if you start having funds that are put for something like this. And I know it's great that it's coming out of highway, but I think it was kind of earmarked. If you don't use them, I don't see the town putting a glut of money aside for this, and it's going to keep decreasing. I would rather, as a townsperson on Hooper Hill Road, actually see you buy or at least transfer monies for the cost of the culverts. So at least we're showing that we're spending it. Obviously during a flood emergency.
Yeah.
You're gonna go, you're coming out anyway. It's an emergency lane, you're gonna have to do it, and we'll have to fund it at the next town meeting. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Linda, you're the trustee of the trust. What's your sense?
Well, I don't think that you need to, use it this year. It can sit there and accumulate for as long as you want it to. And you can, add to it every year, you can actually change its purpose at the next town meeting if you need to. But I don't think it hurts to leave it in there.
I just think the town as a whole, these town meetings, if they start to see monies that aren't being used, they're starting to question, why are we amassing monies?
Well, the
And
reserve-
technically, we're not.
No, we're not, but
Particularly since this was kind of a sensitive issue, this whole emergency. Jeff, you know what I'm talking about. Because then there was thoughts of, well, why are we maintaining a class 6 road? Because it's a class 6 road.
it's an emergency artery.
And it was approved a few years ago as an emergency lane. that's
Right.
all. Yeah. So, you got it funded, in my opinion, when it comes to town meeting, or what goes on at town meetings, it's a lot easier if they see a little bit of it. I'd rather see $1,000 pulled out of a 5.
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
You've already funded that for that purpose. And so we've been very specific in what the town wanted.
And Paul takes such a beating on his budget that it's like,
I mean, it doesn't matter, you're just buying the culverts. I mean, and then.
I mean, if you think if we can, if I
He's
can
trying to
just,
save you some money.
if I can just buy the culverts, if I just buy the culverts and turn the bill over to Linda and she transfer funds, would that be okay? And I'm okay with buying the culverts because he said one of them's a 30-foot culvert, and I know a company where I can get 30-foot culverts and instead of having to cut one, instead of ordering 100 feet of culvert, I can actually order what I need exactly. So I'm okay with that.
Let me go back to a question for Linda, and it's an informational question for me. So if money isn't spent on this project, do we lose the money?
No, but like John said, at the meeting, you may have some people that are concerned that we didn't spend any of it,
Okay.
especially because it was earmarked for an
Yeah,
emergency.
but I'd hate to make an economic decision on somebody's concerns that doesn't understand the whole situation.
I mean, it can be explained away
Okay,
that we have the stock and the manpower and all that to do it without dipping into the reserve.
yeah.
But, like John said, there may be some concerns, and also Jeff agrees with that. I haven't been to enough of these meetings to know that.
Yeah, I've been to one town meeting in my life.
My feeling, sorry,
Go ahead,
my
Jeff.
feeling on it is.
Take the
is
mic.
same as John's, we raised tax dollars for a specific purpose. And because of that, I feel that we should at least utilize some of that money towards that purpose.
Okay.
So maybe we just take the money out of the account for Hooper Hill Emergency Lane, and when the town meeting comes around this year, instead of maybe the town putting $5,000 in it, maybe the town will vote to put $2,000 in it. You know, I don't know.
So why don't you just get the culverts and the material that you need, just bring it in and do it? So that's $1,200?
Yeah.
So my suggestion for the emergency lane initially didn't include the capital reserve. They chose to do that in case. So my only fear is that I gave the selectmen a choice. That road can't sustain the traffic it gets with private maintenance.
Right.
So I said, you're gonna either, if you wanna leave it open to the public, they're either gonna put small amounts, a little bit here and there where it makes sense, not plowing, not grading really, just things that have to be done, or support the decision to fully discontinue. If you don't feel it has worth to the town, then just fully discontinue it, and I'll gate it, and I'll do it all myself happily. I'd actually prefer that, because there's way too many people, too many problems, too much traffic. But this road actually has uses for the town, and that's why that was approved. My fear is that now we have a capital reserve that got voted in, but now at every town meeting, that any year you want to do anything there, that we're gonna end up having to pitch that to people at town meeting to buy a couple culverts and do $500 here, $1,500 there. I don't want to get into that every single year at
Yeah.
town meeting. It should just be part of the highway budget, and I wouldn't put any more money into the capital reserve. Save that for an emergency when something blows out and you need $5,000 worth of gravel.
That's exactly what I would say.
Otherwise, just make it, just add it to the line item, we'll come up with a plan for next year, and make it a line item in the budget. It's like 1/10 of 1% of the budget. That's my opinion.
I mean, if we're talking $1,000 or $1,500 a year, honestly, I mean, unless we have a catastrophic breakdown, I mean, we should be able to come up with
You
a,
mean with our equipment?
well, won't go there. So, yeah,
I've got a few pieces on my road if we need it, so.
we should be able to come up with $1,000 or so. And like Jordan said, and that was
Okay.
my comment, maybe just leave that $5,000 in there. In case there is a major flood or a bridge that goes out or something and you need $5,000 worth of gravel just to get the road so that residents can use it. I don't know.
At what point, I'm sorry.
No, you know what, time out. Three people came up at the same time. Linda, I'm just trying to get us in a direction.
Are there any more emergency lanes that need to be worked on or developed?
Chief,
There is nothing,
you two guys decide that.
there is nothing in front of us at this point that would need monies put towards. That being said, in the future, I feel the town, the select board, and the emergency personnel need to look at a couple of different class 6 roads for that purpose. To keep it open so that we do have access and egress for people if something like up by your place. If
Oh,
that
yeah.
road went out, what other direction can you go?
come to a decision? Does it come
Well,
out
I
of the
think I'm
capital
gonna make a
reserve?
motion to just go
Go
ahead with this. As far as the funding, where it comes from, I don't care where it comes from. As well, I have a fear of having to go to town meeting every year to do a little bit. But if we might make more emergency lanes in the future, then that capital reserve can stay.
That capital reserve needs to stay there for that.
Right.
Because you're right, I mean, the bridge goes out at the bottom of Nichols Hill, and it has done that.
Yeah.
You know, that's a high flood area.
The problem is this town has a ton of class 6 roads. They're everywhere, and everyone abuses them, and it's a nightmare. And if all the bill falls to the landowners, this
Right.
town, a lot of these roads have no purpose to the general public, and it hurts the landowners that we should either, generally, we should just be discontinuing a lot of these, so the landowners can hate it and do what they need to do. But
Keep
just
it
having
going.
them open to the public with no public money is stupid.
Jordan, make a motion so we can move on.
I'm gonna make a motion to let Paul do the work that we've just described, which is buy culverts and do the minimal emergency lane work that he deems fit
Okay,
for this year.
I second it. Is Omar in communication at all?
I heard that he was online listening to the YouTube video.
Omar, would you like to make a comment and a vote here?
He's just listening, I guess.
I think he's just listening.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't have the Zoom meeting.
I second it.
I vote yes.
Yes, 2 yeses. Okay.
I will schedule it sometime in September, October. It'll be done before cost.
Just buzz out and we'll look at it. I'll show you.
Excuse me, you got
I
it?
know what you're talking
All right, Marty was trying to-
You got to stay 10 feet. Is
I'm trying to stay away.
about. You can sit here. You can sit down. Steve, go ahead.
I'm on the-
okay.
I like your mask.
Good. Folks, just to reiterate, if you're gonna speak, let me know, I'll give you a mic. I'm good at this.
I don't usually need one.
A little longer.
It's a little bit different scenario.
Okay. We'll
Okay, do you wanna,
say again.
okay, well, you wanna say that? Okay, hold on, put you on speaker.
Put it near the microphone. We just voted on it, but go ahead. Omer?
I know that, and I was trying to call in. I think it's a massive, with all due respect to Jordan, I think it, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes?
Conflict of interest.
Massive conflict of interest, the massive conflict of interest for Jordan to be, there's a delay in the phone, okay, there's a delay. So I believe it's a massive conflict of interest for Jordan King to be voting on this matter, because
Well, what is your vote?
my vote is no.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay. Pardon? Thank you.
You're getting the feedback from his YouTube.
Oh, okay. Okay. So he voted no. So it's 2-1 and it passes.
If I lived on Buffalo Road, I would still vote for culverts on Buffalo Road.
Right. It's a matter of colors.
I'm not saying
Anybody disagree? Okay.
we all, we're residents, we all live somewhere.
Okay, I'm going to move into, in brevity of time, discussing the Riverside Park issue. Chief probably needs to take part in this. Oh. Okay. Well, I'll go ahead. As far as the Riverside Park issue, It's an issue that involves three bodies of land under 4 legal jurisdictions. And you got to ask yourself, I'm going to ask 3 rhetorical questions. What's the ultimate goal of what do we want to do with this park? What things do we have control over, and what things do we not have control over? How did Riverside Park come to be? Palmer has come to address that issue. And the real problems that I'm seeing surface this summer and through multiple years has been trash, which we've addressed with barrels, and Paul and the DPW have worked at picking that up, and they've been doing a good job with it. The sanitation issue has been a problem. Linda, early in the season, tried to get porta potties in there. We could get one for Hamilton Park, but we could not get one until recently for Riverside Park. They just weren't available. So the third problem is crowd control, and that's a function of policing. The 4 jurisdictions that you have involved in this process are, the 4 land masses are, the orange here is controlled by the town. This is the access to the park, a U-shaped road coming in. The town, the library trust is this green shaded area. You see it over here? And then Pages is private property, which involves this area. Pages is private property. The 4th jurisdiction is the river itself. So those are the variables that we're dealing with. As far as the library trust, they have to make the decision here on this property, the trustees of the trust. The town selectmen can make decisions here, and it's the Page family that makes the decision on their private land. When it came up to legal issues, Omar is a lawyer, and I had asked him for his opinion, but he deferred on giving an opinion and wanted to charge the town. I said, to save the town money, I said, I will call the Attorney General's office, and I'll call the Fish and Game, who are responsible for rivers. And so is everybody comfortable with the turf that we're talking about here? Okay. Say again? No, I haven't included purposely. I'm just talking about Riverside Park. So the next issue is addressing the legal authorities to this area. The Attorney General's office advised me to talk to the state Fish and Game because they were responsible for rivers. For me, because I'm not a lawyer, don't pretend to be, and they started looking this up on the Baker River. The Baker River is a level 3 river. The Merrimack River is a level 1 river. That's a river that flows into the ocean. The level 2 river is a river that flows into the Merrimack, and the Baker flows into the Pennsylvania. So the rule for a level 3 river is RSA 483-B 4 Roman numeral 16 XV1C. That really governs the decision on public use of the river. And in that, it says that all rivers are open to the public to the high water mark. So that entire the entire swimming hole area, Pages Park, is in a floodplain. So, so that defines the public area of Petty Park. The federal guidelines, the second jurisdiction here, the town has used FEMA funds to clean up after the floods, and Steve Davis has been nice enough to come and present his experience from 2017. The third legal authority there are going to be the town ordinances, and I'm going to ask Chief Trott to present on that. So, out of these four areas, this is all public, and this is public to the high water mark. And I'm going to make a motion later on that we have somebody from Fish and Game come and help delineate where the high water mark is, and that the private properties can then post it so that the chief now has something that he can enforce. And I'll address this to the trustees of the library trust fund. So that's one issue. But I would like to let Steve Davis present his experience with the federal guidelines at this point. Do you want the microphone, Steve?
No, I think that's just good.
Artie, would you guys mind if I sit over here?
You can say it.
Sit in that chair.
Oh, I didn't mean to.
It's a change chair.
You're way farther.
I just want to be sure.
You don't like that good chair?
Well, I just thought I'd sit here and social distance.
Okay.
Your question is, what's our experience with the FEMA issues?
If you could use the microphone.
Sure.
Just because it's on YouTube. Yeah.
Okay. Back in, let me just go back a little bit further than 17. We had a Hurricane Irene came through. We had a number of properties that got destroyed, including mine, Sue Bliss, Bud Dupree, Patty Dupree, and the Riverside Park. And we were not eligible for FEMA funds because it was closed to the public. It was only for town residents, which didn't qualify. And Tommy can speak to this as well as anybody. We ended up doing that with all volunteer work. So anyway, forgetting the FEMA part of the issue, the question came up, why did we have the park closed? And a lot of residents thought we ought to have it open to the public. It made a bad impression on outsiders. It wasn't good for the economy. It seemed us to be elitist. So I was talking at the time, we formed an exploratory committee, which Pam was part of, along with Gail Page and a bunch of others. And anyway, they ended up with a presentation. It was just 7. But it was 80% of everybody agreed that we ought to open it up to the public. We didn't do that in consideration of FEMA funds. Okay, we did it because we thought it was the right thing to do.
Okay.
So then along comes 2017, and we've got, I don't know what the big catalyst was, we had a lot of rain, but I think Weeks Man going up on Weeks Crossing probably was the biggest wall of water went down, and it changed.
Sure.
Mine. I kind of like all logs, but we made an awful mess out here. So then the board applied again for FEMA funds along, for roads, because we had road damage and all that. So we had a 3-part application for FEMA funds, which was Hamilton Field, Riverside Park, and roads. And it was a considerable amount, I forget how much, it was over $100,000. We had to come up with a 20% sweat equity, which I know Charlotte Farm contributed to it, I contributed to it, my brother contributed to it, we had a lot of people, highway department. We were able to come up with 20% sweat equity. But I can tell you right now, this town could not afford it to do that without a bond, okay, because they're not on tax money right now, about those FEMA funds. Now, this year, I'm getting out of your question, I'd like to expand my comments slightly.
Okay,
Don't mind.
go ahead, that's fine.
Do 3 minutes. This year comes along, and I don't know what's going on with people from out of town, but they got out of their minds.
Yeah.
And we're not the only ones. Heavy Baker, Waterville Valley, Great White Woods up in White Mountains. I don't know if it's because we shut out the flatbreads, excuse my French, from coming in during COVID-19.
Yeah.
But it certainly has changed the relationship between local towns and municipalities and the people coming in and tourism.
Well, I concur. Talking to the Attorney General's office and Fish and Game, it is all over the
It's
place.
crazy. I hate to take a short-term solution. If I was sitting where you're sitting, and now you're in a toilet, should make it better, and all that. If this continues, I would close it and call it COVID-19. The locals will find their way down there,
Yeah.
okay? Call it COVID-19, FEMA will understand that, okay? Done. That's all my comments.
Okay, thank you very much. Palmer,
Can you handle it to me?
on the question of why, thank you very much,
Yep.
okay?
I'm out of here. Back.
Okay.
I'm one of those hit run kind of guys.
The history of the park and how it started,
I got here in 1985.
okay?
About that time, Roy Ames and Bud Brown, now deceased, and a couple of other people from town had built a skating rink down where the tennis court is now
Okay.
for the kids. And I went down there and met them, introduced myself. It had been the alternate town dump.
Okay.
The town dump was closed, they went down there and the attraction, there were some mountains of it.
Yeah.
So we formed a park and rec. Donna King was in it, Ash Eames was in it. There were a number of people still in town who were there.
Okay.
We cleaned it up. Boy Scouts from Warren came and we cleaned it up. We took truckloads and truckloads of stuff out of there. We asked if we could build a tennis court, and I have experience having built tennis courts
Sure.
in another life. And we ended up putting it in east-west orientation, which is absolutely the wrong orientation, except we had trees for the screen. It was great, until the recent select board took all those trees down. That's another long story.
Okay.
So we got together, and there may have been 150 townspeople working on the construction of that tennis court the day we paved it. There were lots and lots of pictures. So that was really the beginning of it. And then we had these series of floods that came in, and they washed the river away. And one of the recent floods, it may be the hurricane, the water came up to within 2 feet of the top of the fence at the tennis court.
Right.
It was a major flood.
That is the full point.
Now, if you go down there, you'll see there's a very large rock down there towards probably the middle of the map you presented.
Yes.
It would be on the north side of the river. It's a very large rock.
Yeah.
That was the edge of the river.
Right.
That was the edge of the river, and Francis remembers that.
Right.
And the river is gradually working its way over, and if you don't put a barrier along there for the edge of the
Okay,
bank,
but the question you're addressing is, why did you start the park? I'm just,
why did we,
The history,
there was a
attorney.
great, this used to be a wonderful town. There's all kinds of great things going on.
okay, so this is what we need to get back to.
Okay, so we had volleyball there, that Don Toll started,
Yeah,
every Sunday, and we did it in the elementary school in the winter.
okay.
And so the park was used as horseshoes, we had a pig roast there to raise money, and there were 2 volleyball courts.
So that was your mission when you started?
Yes.
And I think that's a noble mission, and I think it's something that I think that we should strive to get back to.
Yes.
Okay, the, chief, your town old business.
Okay, so, I had some correspondence with Ani about the town ordinance, and Jeff Ames actually, commented on it once as well, not too long ago, about it being very, very loose. And he's absolutely correct. Loose is logistically not even close to being accurate. The ordinance was put in place, from what I'm understanding, in June of 2010. But I can't find a signed ordinance anywhere by the then selectmen. Have you found one? Okay. It was supposed to have been voted on in a meeting, public meeting. But the problem with the ordinance is none of the restrictions or the prohibitions that are listed in the ordinance are posted anywhere at either one of these locations, Hamilton Field or Riverside Park.
Okay, so we need signage.
We need signage.
Okay.
I can't force it.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's what the state police said, when I talked to the state police who'd been down in the park, and Fish and Game. All of them uniformly had the same complaint, that if the public doesn't know, they can't enforce it.
And the other issue is, a couple of years ago, the town agreed to open up OHRVs to Riverside Park, but specifically in the ordinance.
Oh,
Hamilton.
I'm sorry, Hamilton.
well,
Specifically in the ordinance, it says that they can't be at either location. So if there's a modification to the ordinance, my recommendation is that the town do
You gotta do
another
an
public
update.
hearing, another public hearing, and decide on what exactly they want in that ordinance.
okay, so you need to have you recommend that we update the ordinances and we have a public hearing.
Oh, are you talking about,
For what?
are you
I
talking
gotta come
about?
On what the restrictions are going to be.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
And then we need to properly post it.
Enforce it,
Yes.
okay. Okay. Jordan, you got any thoughts? I'm sorry.
I'd like to see you do this at a town meeting.
Well, then we'd be doing it in March. I'm trying to address the issue right now, because it's an emergency.
If you have the town vote on it, maybe they will withhold it. It was voted on years ago that there would be no HRVs on town roads.
At the point right
Whoa,
now,
whoa, I'm trying to deal with the topic at hand
And
is
that's what I'm-
Riverside Park.
Yes.
And I'm not addressing the ATV issue. John?
The Riverside Park, there's definitely a split. There's a lot of folks that believe that Riverside should be closed to public use except for, actually taxpayers, excuse me. I don't want to call them residents, taxpayers. I did a little mini poll real quick on Facebook.
Yeah, you know, I would really welcome that, because as select board, I've asked for participation from the community, and I have gotten zero.
So what I
It's
did
very
was I
frustrating.
took some hits on it because I asked about Gales as well, and everybody flipped out because it's private property. But anyway, as it's this evening, we had 50 people say it should be closed to taxpayers. I should say 50, and 45 said definitely taxpayers, not
That's
residents.
illegal, you can't do that.
Second was 4, leave it open, the way it is. Hamilton, we had 34 said leave it open, 8 said close Hamilton. So the town is looking at the idea on this, just this little quick non-binding poll. They're looking at Hamilton should stay open, but they want to close Riverside. There is a lot of feedback from folks that live in that area and others that say it's
Well, you know,
not the
You
same.
say there's a lot of feedback, but the select board needs to hear the feedback. We are not, nobody is here presenting for that portion of the community. And it's very hard to take a vote and try and solve a problem which is active if the citizens in that area will not participate.
Well, this is the most bizarre year. We're not talking 18.
Well, it's not,
it's-
you know, I've got to keep the meeting going.
Can I have a floor?
Go ahead.
So what I'm saying to you is that I went down to dump the trash one evening a couple of weeks ago because I heard it was bad. I also wanted to see if, maybe it was mistaken. Maybe we did have an outhouse, and we didn't. And what I found was I found a large birthday party going on, and folks were just leaving it. We had 3 bags. The can was up over 7 foot tall, okay? So I grabbed it, threw it in my pickup, whatever, came down the following morning. But that's not what I'm addressing. The fact is, I saw the people leaving the park because it was an open atmosphere. They held a birthday party there. We had all the stuff from Market Basket. I saw wrappings, and I saw a lot of liquor bottles, a lot of beer bottles. Okay, so what I'm saying to you is that the park is being used by large groups because it's open air, because of COVID.
Right.
The other thing we're having is that to bring to your attention is, and I found out about Mount Musilla, is that they are limited to how many people can be in the pool. So what they're doing is directing people to our swimming holes. The Breezy Point Swimming Hole, the Warren is a free flow. It's out to the point that
Yeah,
Warrens have frogs.
I talked, and I got some good advice from the Warren Selectmen, specifically on Breezy Point and how they address that, and also from the town of New Ipswich, the selectmen I talked with down there. They, both communities, they're disparate communities, they dealt with it by limiting parking. And I'm gonna make a motion, and that just leads me, segues into a motion that I'm gonna make, and we'll vote on this.
Point still, sir. The issue, I think, has always been at hand, where you have the folks complain, and I think years ago, going back to the 2010.
I am trying to address that, sir.
Okay, what I'm saying is that you have to police it.
Sir, if you listen to the entire presentation, that was the third parameter that I talked about. And I'm gonna make 3 motions right now
Okay.
that are gonna improve policing. Yes.
So my thoughts are, the people that are watching on Facebook right now, or on
Right.
YouTube, we need a park and rec committee. I don't go to the park, he's not at the park. We need people to step up in this town
Right.
and participate. Other towns have conservation commissions, other towns have park and rec committees.
We don't have.
We have
community
defunct committees that we
participation in this
can't
town.
get people. So one, a lot of people on the common or people that use the park, please come to us and be on a committee and bring these things to us, and we will help you fix it. We just can't do it ourselves. My second point is that with a lot of these issues, one, there's a lot of people that said they were gonna be here to present, and we see a couple, but not a lot. And two, is that don't address this through Facebook. You can send Linda an email, you can make a phone call, you can write a letter, you can join a Zoom meeting, you can send Andrew a message right now, you can call the phone and get in, and people don't do it. So being upset about that is one thing, but no one's helping the problem. We can't solve every problem. We have a full
We're
agenda
trying
every
to
single
solve
week. We need people to be on a committee that know what they're talking about, that are down there, to come to us, bring us ideas, and we will vote on it, we will help you, we will give you the funding. We just need people to want to do it, and if they don't, this is what happens. Because we can't handle every single problem that happens in town. We need other committees. Other towns have these committees and people to help. We don't.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
We did have that committee. The
Yeah.
select board at the time decided to get rid of it. So it's up to you guys to bring
This
it back
is
in.
not,
Okay, let me finish, please. Now, I did actually put on Facebook and ask for people interested because it was brought up the
a
last
month
meeting.
ago, you came and presented this thing, and the
Hold on.
board asked you to go out, solicit the community,
And I
take
did.
a poll, and
And I
nobody got back
asked,
to us.
and there was no interest, none. I was the
Okay.
only person.
So that
stepped in.
reiterates what Jordan is saying. There's
Right.
no interest in the community to solve this.
So the other problem is, and I'm gonna bring this up now because this is the perfect opportunity to bring it up,
Right.
okay? And as the chief of police, I'm gonna emphasize on how hard I'm gonna come down in the event that I find out who's responsible for this, okay? I just spoke with 2 Wentworth residents, husband, wife, children, down at Pages in the swimming hole. There were other Wentworth residents throwing rocks and sticks at them from the houses and the bridges, so they took the kids out of the water. They didn't realize that these were Wentworth residents, your own community residents, that you're throwing rocks and sticks at because they took the common courtesy to wear masks because of COVID-19. So now Wentworth has taken on the mob mentality, and we're going to take the park back by force.
This just happened.
This just happened tonight, that's why I was pulled out of the meeting. So I'm not gonna tolerate that as the chief of police, obviously.
No.
But we need to handle this more diplomatically, and that does take involvement from the community, not rocks and sticks.
No, you can't be, violence is not the solution. Jeff?
So, right now, you do have an ordinance in place, and the only thing that I can see this town doing is following that ordinance that's in place.
Exactly.
And in that ordinance, it explains what can take place at the Hampton Field, at the park, etc. Doesn't mean we shouldn't try to change that and bring it along for next year, or for this year even. You could do a public
The
hearing.
advice from the Attorney General's office and the New Hampshire Fish and Game, who really govern the rivers, is that we need to delineate what's the river, what's the high water mark, and we need to leave it up to the private people, trustees of the library, to post their property line so that the police officers now can engage and deliver law. So I'm gonna make a motion right now to delineate the public river right-of-ways guideline of the New Hampshire Public Rivers and Streams Conservation Act 2016, specifically as it applies to a level 3 river, RSA 483-B, 4, Roman numeral 16C, where Baker River is a third order stream and it has public access to the high water mark and public access to the floodplain. I think this, the motion is to be instituted with the conservation officer from the New Hampshire Fish and Game. I'm recommending that a select board member, conservation officer, and anybody that wants to come from the Parks and Rec, if they have the time, to come and walk the border and have that border defined, and police. Okay, so you know the border, and then it's up to the private landowner to post it. You want to second it?
I will second the motion.
I vote yes.
I vote yes.
Homer?
Had Janice talk to him.
Well, you know what, it's two, even if he goes no, it's gonna pass. Okay. Okay, so that's passed. Now, the second motion I'm gonna make is that the town, and this is, would be looking into it from Warren and New Ipswich and other towns and how they've dealt with this, that the town of Wentworth establish a parking area on town land only. This would be the orange area. And the town, this parking area will be delineated by signage, which discusses the ordinances, and fencing. Now, the fencing, the rules and the ordinances are being enforced by the police. You second that motion?
Could you sum it back up again? So, we're gonna,
Okay, hang on. Second motion is the town of Wentworth is to establish an area of parking on town land only. Because that's what we have jurisdiction for. That is the orange, that's the orange area right here. The orange area, the parking area will be delineated by signage and fencing. The rules and ordinances are being enforced by the police.
I'll second the motion.
I vote yes.
I vote yes.
Is it,
Homer?
okay, you got that?
Homer?
I'm not a town resident, but I just wanna ask, does that include you can park on the grass and everything else down there?
Well, I'm gonna define that real
Okay,
quick.
just
This is my
curious.
third motion. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
You're gonna answer my question.
And this motion is open for discussion, since there's a number of approaches to this. The town of Wentworth road agent is gonna, I'll make a motion to remove stone from the town quarry to delineate the parking lot, because people are not paying attention to signage. So, and Jordan, what are your thoughts?
We could do stones, we could ask the mill for some of the culls, you know, the debark trees that have metal in them. And we could maybe get some of those down there somehow. We could block off the area, or you could, you know, make spaces like you can't have too many vehicles. We could establish a number of vehicles that are allowed down there.
Yeah.
And we could block them off with rocks or anything like that.
I would prefer not putting rocks down. Not for my, I don't mind myself, but Eugene has to mow around them, weed whack around them. If we could do something other than that, that would be
Big
good.
logs.
Something, and
See,
going up.
right now, the situation is, most of the other towns are limiting swim holes to 4 or 5 cars. Assuming there's 4 or 5 people per car. When I went down last week and I checked, last weekend and this weekend, there are sometimes up to 11 to 15 cars down there. And they park all over the place. So,
I don't mind how you do it, but we don't have any large rocks up at the town.
You got it on, you know, that moose select?
Yeah, there's not any large rocks, they're only like this big. I mean, I could roll them out of the way myself, is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Then we'll use the cull logs.
Yeah, we can ask and see if we can go down there, or if anybody else has another idea, it's a good way to block that off.
Chief, any motion? I mean, any ideas?
Nothing from me. I did want to say that earlier, I believe John had a question or a comment.
And it was more to your point, to the chair, Jordan. The issue that you had in the past is that there was not a true definition, which you're trying to address. Friends of Wentworth, who started to get into the bridge, my wife personally was verbally attacked. It ended up finally having to call Chief Trotty, got that bad, to the point that now she's like, not in a million years am I
Yeah,
going
I
to do
mean-
this again.
Facebook has taken people
It's
out
unbelievable.
of participation in government, and it pisses me off.
We're talking yelling across the common, people yelling at us. So I'm
But
just
now-
saying,
Now you
this-
hear people throwing sticks,
Yeah.
stones.
and that's not the first time. That is not the first time.
So the motion, okay, let me rephrase the motion. I'll make a motion that the town of Wentworth, use cull logs to develop a parking area.
Or something that we can find, whatever.
Okay?
I just asked the selectmen if you wanna come down, meet me down there tomorrow morning, Thursday morning, and I will put pink lines down where everything goes,
Yeah.
and that way when we get it, we get it.
Okay.
I can't do it tomorrow.
Let's
Okay,
imagine-
I'll-
Point real quick, you use the term high water. Is it mean high or is it high water?
No, it's in the state of New Hampshire, like Massachusetts is mean high water. Different states have different, in New Hampshire, it's high water.
Because technically then that whole area down there
Exactly.
is wide open.
That's what the fishing.
So the
game
Gale,
people
the
say.
Gale Pages of the world, who've always called it their private property, it's not. If you're saying, because then at that point, I've seen it 3 feet below the bridge. So at that
Oh, I
point,
know.
that whole area.
And that's why, I was gonna have the Fish and Game Conservation Officer come in and talk this out. Because it's above my pay grade to know that, and I want an independent, somebody independent from the town, but who understands the river laws, to come in and chief, and then we know the boundary, we can GPS mark it. And then, I've taken an additional step of talking with Gail Page, about the signage that she would want, put there, and she's agreed to it, and I can make that part of the minutes, I can do the project.
Thank you.
So I second your motion. Did I do that?
Yes.
Get seconded.
Linda, you got the motion? You're going cull logs instead of stone.
Yes.
Second, I vote yes.
I vote yes.
Okay. You're looking unhappy.
Me?
Yeah.
No,
Are we
no,
addressing
no.
it?
No, I'm happy with what's going on here, and I would like to participate, but I'm not gonna participate on my own. 17 years I participated.
I got that.
Okay.
And I got that the last time you were here, and I am challenging this community to step up,
Yeah.
okay?
And I'm here to support you in what you're doing and what I need to do to help the town figure that out.
Okay. Now, thank you very much. The fourth motion I'm gonna make is to make a motion that the two chiefs get together, look at these ordinances, get back to us with a better, more specific ordinance that works for you as a police officer, you as a safety officer, and get us something that we can vote on so that you can do your job. Okay?
Okay, good.
You want to second that?
I will second that motion.
Okay, I vote yes.
I vote yes.
Okay.
And good luck finding the people that were throwing rocks and sticks. I sincerely hope you catch them.
Yeah, well, the problem is nobody's gonna
Okay.
turn each other in on stuff like that, unfortunately.
Say again? Go ahead, Linda.
I have Janice Thompson on the phone. She has a concern about people that helped to clean up in the park and something to do with COVID-19. She feels she did express that she wanted to come to this meeting, but she couldn't. So she wants to just make a few comments. She did ask Omer about it, but Omer did not
Here.
tell me.
Right.
It's that she needed to be on the agenda. So do you want to give her privilege of the floor right now?
Let me just take a minute.
Is it Riverside Park related?
Yes.
Yes.
How long are you guys gonna be? Long? Longer than them, probably. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. She's got 3 minutes. Just tell her she's got 3
Okay,
minutes.
Janice.
Can you please turn that off so that I can speak? This is Janice Thompson. Can you hear me?
Yes.
My concerns with Riverside Park and Page's Pool, the cleanup of human waste, etc., was carried out very poorly by a well-meaning local person who thought he was helping. But he cleaned it up without any precautions, and where did he dispose of it? It could contain parasites, the COVID virus, all sorts of things that people around here are not used to being exposed to. And as far as we know, no one's telling us where they disposed of this mess that was in the park and at Page's. And if something like this happens again, you can close the park immediately, including Page's, because it's a public health emergency. And call the Department of Environmental Services, and they'll help you. They'll tell you how to clean it up properly, what to do, and so forth. I don't know if you remember when FEMA was cleaning up Hamilton Field, how they did it. They removed all of the topsoil and they took it away to some safe place where they could dispose of it.
Everybody in this room participated in that cleanup, and I know exactly where they brought all the material. It was our farm.
I can't hear you.
Thank you very much for your comments, but we've got to move on.
Well, thank you very much for listening, and I hope you're going to do something about it. There's one more thing. What about Hamilton Field? Nobody has mentioned it tonight.
Ma'am, you're off topic.
Trash, or has it been cleaned up?
Ma'am, you're off topic.
What?
You're
I'm
off topic.
topic.
Thank you. Okay. Chief Trot, you got fundraiser.
Oh, yes, the Penny Baker Lions Club had contacted a couple of the police departments in their area. Each chapter has a specific area. So they contacted me, wanted to know if they could do a fundraiser for the police department for the purpose of purchasing body cams at some point in time in the future.
Yes.
So I sent that information to the selectmen, and if there are any monies that are going to be raised, which I believe they're gonna try to do at the end of this month at Big Daddy Joe's in Lumney, they will present the town with whatever monies they raise as a result of that fundraiser. I'm gonna just have the town take care of setting the money aside however you deem fit until there is enough money to actually purchase body cams for the police department. So that's the fundraiser.
Okay. Gail, it's a process issue, okay? I think it's a good idea, and I think we gotta build on that. Is, what do we do? Do we put this in the capital reserve and earmark it for the police?
No, that, if, in order to set up another
In other words,
capital
we need
reserve
to, we need a
account,
process to take monies that are dedicated to the police officers for their body cams. So we gotta have a mechanism in the town where we can put that money and keep it somewhere and add to it. Is that, that's how I understand it?
Yeah, chief, how do they do it for the fire department?
So it's a nonprofit set up through the fire department, fireman's fund, and people can donate to that fund. You would have to do something similar for police.
So does he have to do like a 501(c)(3)?
Yeah.
Oh,
Can the town do that specific for the department?
I'm not sure. I don't have that.
I guess my question is, did you set up your own, or did the
Yes.
town do it?
No, we set it up, and then I had it approved by the select board back in the 80s.
Okay. But are they the ones that control those monies?
No,
Okay.
no, you have control of the monies. We just set one up for the Veterans Fund, and I'm embarrassed to say I have no clue how we did it. So I would say Sonia was the one that she did it. So if you could talk to her, she'll tell you
Absolutely.
the exact mechanism to do it.
Okay.
And if there's anything the select board can do to facilitate it, to make it happen, we will, okay?
Yes, thank you.
You're looking for a venue, I mean, an avenue to put the money, keep it stored, and then use it. Okay?
Yes, yes.
And that doesn't exist in the town system, right, John?
You have the historical, and you also have Friends of Wentworth, both are 501(c)(3)s like your, so
Yeah.
one of them could be the recipient and hold the funds for the, if you let it go into, I think it's gonna go into the general fund, unless you set up, yeah.
That's where it would go if
Yeah,
we didn't
so-
have an avenue to do that.
You guys,
So you could-
make it specific.
You could talk to, you know, Jennifer and the Friends of Wentworth, or you could talk to the Historical Society, any of those, or even the fire department, because they're 501. But any of those can actually hold the funds for you, and it's actually a real donation versus starting your own, because then you're getting into filings and everything else.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what, talk to Sonia, because she could probably make it happen for you.
Yeah, I'll talk to Sonia, Jen, and Chief.
And she's got
Everyone.
she's got a post office box for it. I mean, she's got all the things that you need.
Point,
Yeah.
quick, if you don't, through the chair to the chief, what is the cost of a body cam, chief?
Well, it all depends on, it's like anything else, it's like buying a vehicle, you know, it depends on what kind you're getting, but on average, they're anywhere between 800 and 1,800.
All right, so it's not outrageous amount of
No,
money.
no,
Okay.
but then we also get into the operational costs, like storage in the cloud and so forth. But there's ways around that as well, we could get an external hard drive to store that information on, and then, you know.
Is there room for grants?
There may be,
Yeah, I'm just throwing it out.
yeah, there may be.
Yeah, my advice is talk to Sonia, okay? And if you wanna, we can piggyback it into the veterans thing, because that whole thing is pretty smooth, okay? Okay,
Thank you.
everybody's comfortable with that? Okay. The one thing I forgot is Gail's wishes, that
I
she,
do, yeah, but don't worry about it right now.
when you Chief, I may get you, I'm gonna incorporate this in the minutes of the meeting. I sat down with her for a couple of hours and just chatted about it. She really requests that people limit the time spent at the swimming hole so others may enjoy. She wants everybody to show respect for others, which is not happening. Use good judgment, exhibit common courtesy. What you carry in, you carry out. Groups of 10 people maximum. No large gathering or all-day picnickers without authorization. Joyful noise only. Okay? That's what she wants on her sign when she posts it and when we establish the high water mark. Is everybody comfortable with that? So I'm going to incorporate this in the minutes of this meeting. Okay. Chief Ames, you're next.
Okay, so as of recent, we've responded since the last meeting to 7 calls, 2 motor vehicle accidents, 1 in Wentworth, 1 in Warren. And in the events of the recent storm, we had 5 calls for service that night, 4 of which were trees either on 25 or on the town roads, or trees into power lines. We took care of those. Then we had an alarm activation at King Forest Industries the same night. We had a water flow incident with a broken sprinkler head, so that got taken care of. We worked closely with both the state and town road crews as well as the police chief to take care of all these issues. I think there was a job well done by everybody involved.
Good.
The training right now, Wentworth Fire is doing pretty much a constant training mode. Every meeting that we have, we train. And we've been doing a big amount of motor vehicle accident extrication training. So that's the process we're in right now. We do both in-house and out-of-house programs utilizing the academy and other outside resources as well. And then the thing that's really exciting for us is the members. We're seeing an increase. We are growing with members. We ended up having 2 new members come on in the past 30 days.
In the fire department?
Yep.
Awesome.
One of them is very experienced. He's actually, or was actually, a paramedic. He was out of Oakland, California.
Nice.
And we have a younger gentleman who is joining our Explorer program. So, you know, we're seeing an increase that way. And I had another person approach me just recently. So,
Well, that's nice. That's a reflection on you and your leadership. Yes. Chief?
So I do have a report that I can do if you would like. I commented on
Oh.
Yale Pages, but
Yes, I'm sorry.
yeah, if you want.
I do want it. Yes.
Okay, I'll make this real quick. Some of it piggybacks on Chief Ames. So, we took a call from the Voices Against Domestic Violence pertaining to a petition that was served on a now Wentworth resident that they felt the need to make us aware of. We helped them put a safety plan in place, and we're monitoring that. We took a report of a stolen kayak that had been delivered to a wrong resident in Wentworth by UPS. And embarrassing enough, UPS can't come up with the kayak at either residence that it was, where it was delivered or where it was supposed to have been delivered, so we're still looking into that. At the end of one of the races 2 weeks ago, Officer Eck and myself responded to the end of Rowantown Road, along with Chief Ames and members of the Wentworth Fire Department for what came in as an explosion and then some possible gunshots. And when we got there, the fire department very strategically staged for us. We went up, spoke with the involved parties. They were actually up there shooting at tannerite targets. I don't know if any of you are aware of what those are, but they're exploding targets.
Yeah.
Yes. And they had set off some fireworks, the majority of which had already been set off. There were no violations, either on my part or Chief Ames' part, that we were aware of. We addressed the issue, educated them a little bit, and then we wound up clearing. As you know, I've conducted several OHRP patrols over the last 2 weekends. Those have gone relatively well. I've had no reported issues at either Hamilton Field or Riverside Park this past weekend. I will say that it was very busy because, as some of you know, we had the farmer's market. Both the parks were a little bit busy, but we also had a wedding right
Yeah.
on Route 25 here. So there were cones all up and down Route 25. My radar trailer, people walking up and down the road. It was very busy. I met with a Wentworth property owner who turned over 48 used syringes to me that he had found on a new piece of property that he purchased in the town of Wentworth. I just want to let people know that syringes, unfortunately, are finding their way in places that none of us are comfortable with. Just err on the side of caution. Give me a call, give somebody a call. We've got syringe-proof gloves that we carry, the proper protective equipment. We'll come and take possession of them and dispose of them accordingly, which is what we did with this as well. We've worked the racetrack details 2 weeks in a row now, have no issues. I gotta say that Dan Bound, and I think Chief Ames will agree, is doing a good job down there. He deserves a lot of credit for running a tight ship. And I wanna comment on the storm as well. Last Tuesday, the Wentworth Police Department, Wentworth Fire Department, Wentworth Highway Department, and our own DOT, Mark Green, were out for a number of hours in that storm. And as first responders, of course, we take the time to train for this stuff. It's what we live for. But when it's game time, it's really nice to appreciate and see how these other agencies and first responders interact with each other. Jeff did a great job with the fire department. I know they look like they're some homely looking critters sometimes, but they're a pretty kick-butt department, and they did a great job. Paul and the highway department, they came out, we worked through the rain, did a good job clearing some trees wherever we
Yeah.
needed to be. They got us there. It was a great joint effort, and I think that they deserve to be recognized for that.
Good, I appreciate it. You guys are all,
Excuse me?
two questions. You guys are all on the same communications net now?
We have radio communication
Yes.
with each other, yes.
Okay.
We can interoperate.
We did I did have a problem last Tuesday night. I could not get a hold of anybody. Nobody had power. The home phones were out and they don't have service in town. And that was a little bit of a problem. Chief actually met me at the shops somehow, or got a hold of me on the radio, and he went and got a hold of the people at their house.
Yeah, keep that in the back of your minds,
Yeah.
because that,
That is an issue that we have. If you don't have power, I
this
didn't
is a
think
tough
of it
area
until that happened.
where we only, and same communication net. Okay, thanks, Chief.
Yes, sir.
The waste station, any issues there? Jim, any issues?
Oh, no.
No.
Not the one?
Cool. I signed off on some, all the tires and stuff get sold out?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay.
We're just awaiting a chance to pick up the cans that are kind of making a mess there. When the
Yeah.
tires were, and get those to market. And,
Yeah, I've made some inquiries over in Vermont.
well, that's for the bottles,
For the bottle, okay, for the bottles.
two different things.
Yeah, I haven't gotten any positive responses back on the bottles.
Yeah.
We've got a dump truck full of bottles that we're gonna donate to a food bank or somebody,
Yeah,
just to clean the dump up.
we got a bunch of hard liquor bottles that are 15 cents a piece in Vermont and Maine.
And not here.
Not here.
So if anybody has any ideas or any funds, any people who need money and are from Vermont and can come and pick the bottles up, they can have them. Okay?
Yeah, I thought we kind of decided on the food bank, Vermont Food Bank.
Yeah.
We could direct it there,
Yeah.
but, yeah.
Okay. You're next.
We've been busy ditching roads the last couple of weeks. We've got down Buffalo Road for the most part. We're busy cleaning up storm debris. As you know, the town backhoe did break down. We do have it back. We got it back yesterday after a couple of weeks. A little bit of a pricey bill. It's a 2-week rental and the parts and labor that went with that. And I will bring it to discussion at some other point on what we're gonna do with the backhoe, because I've got a parts list and labor list that exceeds $25,000 that needs to be done that I don't believe we should be doing. I think we need to baby it and try to get through what we've got through and make decisions later on. So
What do you mean by later on?
I'm saying later on this fall, this winter, look at our options, whether we're gonna put money into it in the winter, if we're gonna think about getting a new backhoe.
How many hours do you have on it?
It's got over 9,000 hours on it.
9,000?
Yeah. So it's just something that I'm throwing out there now, so don't be surprised in a month or so. I mean, nothing surprises me. We got our Freightliner inspected, that came back. It was a relatively small bill. That truck's actually been really good in the last couple of years. Our next truck to go is international next week. It's going down for an inspection, and I did some research, and we put a lot of money into that international over the last 4 years. I think right now, as we stand this year, we're right around $8,000, or we're 7 something, I believe. And I have a feeling we're gonna be around 10,000 by the time we're done again with this truck. And this will be like the 4th straight year that we're $10,000 or more putting into that truck.
How much does it cost for a new truck?
Well, there's no way the town can afford, or I would ever even think about asking for a backhoe and a truck. So that's why I need to make decisions and see what the town can really do and what one we're gonna take a chance on. That's what I'm getting to. However, I would like a little input, and see what anybody thinks about this. The town of Bedford is getting rid of, they're getting rid of 2 trucks, but I found it, it's a 2014, which is 2 years newer than the 2012 that we have. But it's got 64,000 less miles on it than ours. It's the same exact truck, it's an international. It's going out to closed bid. And I don't know if the selectmen or the town will have any interest in possibly having me go down and look at it, or if a selectman would like to go look at it with me, or they would like me to take a mechanic as maybe Kevin Knapp with me, to look at the truck. I have called Liberty International because they've serviced the truck for Bedford since it was brand new. I'm expecting a call back in the next 2 or 3 days on a report. It had nothing major go wrong with it. It's in their CIP plan, and that truck is up this year.
What's the CIP plan?
Capital improvement plan.
Okay.
So when their capital improvement plan and the truck comes up, they get rid of it, no matter how many miles it has on it, or if it needs.
How many miles does it have?
31,000. And I believe our international right now is 2 years older, and it's got 95 something on it.
Okay.
But I'm just looking at $10,000 a year for the last 4 years is a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Through the chair, Paul, quick question. Isn't the international one that blew the engine and all that? We had a lot, when it was back on lease, it was kind of a problem child even then.
Yep, that's the one. And I don't know when the lease was bought out. I think it was a 6-year lease, so it would have been bought out in around 2018, I believe, or 17. It might have been a 5-year lease. And our Freightliner is still on the lease.
Yes.
It is.
And what is, through the chair, that you get, what is the lease? How much?
I believe the Freightliner is like $2,400 a month or $2,600 a month. Linda, does that ring a bell?
We pay annually, and, oh goodness, I forget, it's in the.
It's in here. I thought it was like $2,400 a month or something. It's in the warrant article. I can tell you how much we pay.
It's in the budget.
Well,
So my question is that, Paul, would you consider like leasing one and buying the other? If you've got both backhoe and truck coming up, and trading in your international versus buying a 6-year-old truck?
Yes, I definitely am. After I slow down this fall, I should have some time to start doing some investigating, but a lease is definitely possibly an option.
So you're thinking purchase something and lease something, is
I
that?
don't know. I kind of would really like to get through the lease on the Freightliner before we do any sort of lease or anything on anything else.
And how old is the Freightliner, if you don't mind me
Well,
asking?
it's 2014. It's
All right, so it's about to come out of lease as
Yeah,
well.
we're coming up. Unfortunately, we got a new truck last year. There's no way I can keep going to the town every year and asking for a new truck, a new backhoe, a new truck. It's unfortunately, I have even researched some grants. And the biggest problem I've run into with researching grants for town equipment or trucks or vehicles, whatever you wanna call it, is the 3 grants that I've tried to call and get some information on, you have to have a CIP plan in the town for 3 years before you are available to get grant money for any vehicle or equipment. And I am currently working on a capital improvement plan for the highway department, but it is moving and adjusting hourly because I don't know what's going on with equipment and trucks. And I really would like to get through a few more years with the backhoe. I'd like to get through a few more years with the truck, but one of them's going this year.
9,000 hours on a backhoe, I don't think you're getting a few more.
They already told me it's on borrowed time. Those are average 7,500 hour machines.
Thank you.
Okay.
So would you guys like me to pursue that a little deeper, take a look at it, or do you think we really, I don't even know what it's gonna go for. I have no idea what a sealed bid's gonna be.
I think it's worth exploring.
Okay. I mean, I'm going,
Take a look at it, but I would think that to solve this problem, it's gonna take the rest of this year, and then you're gonna have to come up with your best guess and bring it to town meeting.
Yeah, it's gonna be town warrant.
It's definitely, these are warrant articles.
and I'm so torn on what one's gonna cost us more in the long run. I
Yeah,
don't know.
we're gonna need a detailed cost analysis for buying it versus leasing it for both vehicles. And then bring it to town and let them decide. And if they vote not to do it, and the backhoe breaks down and their road doesn't get fixed, then they can complain about that.
If we can only lease do a yearly lease of backhoes, it's possible.
Yeah, just have to see the cost analysis, I guess. That'll make the decision.
Yeah, we'll go by that. Jordan, you're next up with an update on the gravel pit.
Yeah, not as much this week. I reached back out to Tyler, that's his name. So he's setting up a meeting with his boss. He has not gotten back to me. I meant to get back to him before this meeting to just check back in, and I was busy and I couldn't do it. But later this week, I'll check in with him again. We're setting up a meeting for sometime this month, I hope. We'll have to do a special meeting. Omer wants to be there. I'm assuming you want to be there, and do a site meeting at the gravel pit with this guy and his boss and run through it. So as of right now, that's it. As soon as I get a date from them, I'll make sure the email chain goes out so everyone can be there.
Okay. Linda, on this, adopting the personal policy handbook, I'm embarrassed to say I haven't read it.
No,
I
I'm just keeping it on there because it was a hot topic, 6 months ago, that I learned that. It just
I
fell
just
by
got
the
over one with the
wayside.
park issues this week.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, the Freightliner costs us $24,678 a year for the lease, so it's just over $2,000 a month.
How many years?
I think it's a 7-year lease, 7-year lease agreement. It's 2014, so I would say that this coming year will be the last year of the lease.
And what do you think a new one costs?
Oh, a new one?
Yeah.
You're talking somewhere between 145 and 165,000.
But a lease at 25,000 a year, times 7 years is 175.
They make money on a lease.
So at that point, we might as well own it and have the equity at the end of it, if you buy a new one.
I don't know if the town will be able to afford. I mean, we do have a lot of money in our equipment, vehicle capital reserve.
I guess there's different ways to do it. You take a loan and pay it longer over time or something, is figured out.
Question on a lease, though, they're responsible for all major repairs,
All major repairs.
whereas if
we
you
are,
just buy it, you're responsible.
after warranty, we are responsible.
Right.
It's kind of an insurance policy as well.
Yeah, but they don't cover anything that's maintenance issues, which is a lot of.
No, we change the oil and stuff like that, so.
Yeah,
If you blow the engine like we did the last time,
right.
they picked up the cost.
But even a new one would have a warranty. Maybe not 7 years, but
The trucks,
Up to 5 years with them.
Yeah, so that's almost as good, and then you end up with owning a truck that you can trade or. Alright, we'll work on it.
Oh, yeah, it's a work in progress.
New business? None. Opening the meeting for any public comments.
Andrew?
A couple things. One, I should have probably told Linda, I wanted to just give a quick update on the broadband expansion as well. I'm not sure if I had gotten them out last meeting or if I got them out between then, but I sent out RFIs, requests for information, to both Consolidated and Charter. So I'm waiting on those to come back. In the meantime, while I'm waiting on, or actually I'm putting together a request for proposal so I can send out to them as well once that information gets back. So that's definitely in progress. We're still looking to try to get something from the state as well. I did I'm in communication with one of the state reps and one of the state senators as well. Senator Gaida and Representative Diggs.
Okay.
So hopefully we can get maybe something out of the CARES Act. I'm not still not extremely confident that's going to happen, but either way, we do have the Senate Bill 170 that will allow us to, possibly get a bond, issue a bond related to that. The other thing I wanted to bring up was the possibility of a town Facebook page.
Don't we have a town bulletin board now?
So the Wentworth Bulletin Board is a Facebook group, and it's basically owned by a town resident. There's absolutely zero moderation on it, so anybody can say anything that they want, whether it's positive or negative, swearing, anything like that.
So there's no moral code on it, eh?
Ultimately, no. It's pretty crazy from time to time. So what I suggest is, instead of a Facebook group, we start a Facebook page, which there's a Facebook page for the highway department, for the fire department. Other towns have their own Facebook pages as well. What that allows you to do is, when you make a post, all the people see ultimately is what the town posts. There is a different discussion section that people can post things and people can reply to, but that's not the first thing that they see. That's also something that can be moderated by the town, or whoever manages the page. So I think it would just give folks in the town another way of communicating with the select board. I do understand that,
Right now, they don't communicate.
so people love to use the internet as a form of communication.
All you gotta do is pick the phone up,
Right.
use an email or e-message. We all have phones.
Right.
I mean, everybody bitches, but nobody will approach it in a positive manner.
Understood. I guess I'm bringing this up because I've seen some interest out there as a formal way to communicate with the select board, and possibly formal, at least not as negative dialogue. It's something that's a little bit more constructive, I should say, because the Wentworth Bulletin Board, there's a lot of very, very non-constructive conversations going on.
Which would make me lean not to do this.
Right, but the fact of the matter is, there's absolutely zero moderation there. So, and there's no rules set.
Well, who's gonna moderate? Or who would you propose?
I'm assuming folks on at least not specifically on the moderation, but we'd set some rules. I'd be happy to help out with getting something going. I just think there's a lot of other towns that are doing the same exact thing.
Right now, they're throwing sticks and stones off the bridge at kids in the water.
Yeah, I
We're
completely.
way past.
Those are the people that comment on Facebook.
Those are the people that comment, and they're adults.
So this is just
You gotta give them another platform to perform those kind of violent
So none of that would be allowed, and if somebody were to make some type of very negative comment related to that, then it can be absolutely easily deleted. I'm happy to.
You need somebody, go ahead, Jeff.
I just wanted to say that a Facebook page works very well as long as you moderate it.
Yes.
And you have to stay on top of that at all times, every day. If you don't have the time to do so, then that Facebook page is not worthy at that point.
Deteriorates pretty quick. If you know, the other thing, Jeff, that I've seen is a couple of the ones I'm involved with, particularly groups, and they're very worried about what they're portraying. Multiple moderators. There's multiple administrators, and there's a code of conduct. And if you step over the line, your post is deleted.
Yeah. Or you get banned from.
Well, usually it's 3 and you're out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is a way to do it. So.
I'm definitely not in favor of a Facebook page. There's like 7 avenues to reach this board where you don't even have to physically come in here. People choose not to do it. I have seen the bulletin board. I'm not gonna subject Linda to things like that or ourselves. People are gonna make these comments and they're gonna expect you to reply. You get into situations where there's 175 comments. And they're all just single sentences, and it's usually incorrect information, and we can't go through and have conversations with all these people. It can't be done. Instead of taking that one sentence and throwing it on the internet, make a paragraph or 2 and send an email and get something done.
Yeah,
It makes people go one more level to actually accomplish something.
Andrew, we changed the policies and procedures. Thank you, I appreciate that. When we started this select board, and one of the policies and procedures is if you're gonna present at these meetings, you have to present it in writing. You have to be thoughtful, you have to have a plan, you gotta do a cost analysis of it. So you actually thought it out. It's not a visceral, emotional reaction. And we can move forward a lot more positively doing that. I'm not seeing how Facebook's can do that.
That's completely fine. I guess I thought it might not be a bad idea, but also I've heard from other folks that they thought it would be a good idea as well. Just as long as, like I just to reiterate, there's other towns that have done the same thing. I wouldn't, if you wouldn't mind, I'd love to ask other towns,
You know what?
how they do
Sure.
that as well.
I'm open-minded, I'd explore it, I can
Okay.
find, if there's a better pathway than what we're doing now, we should explore it.
Yeah, I don't know. Some folks just aren't. Maybe some folks aren't comfortable coming here. I know there's plenty of people that will post things online that would never tell you to your face. So that's unfortunate.
That's not correct.
There's
Huh?
We're not
If you
doing
can't
that.
talk
Right.
to somebody face to face,
Right.
maybe your thought is not.
there are there's various types of people out there. Obviously, it's just another avenue of communication. I suppose if it's done the right way, then it could be beneficial.
Okay, you wanna say something?
No, I was just gonna say that a Facebook page is a lot of work for a town. The way it's not a selectman's, it's a town Facebook page. So whether it would be, I guess how I'm saying this, Linda or Deb's DM or whoever monitors the Facebook page, there's avenues and ways to have settings on there that if somebody has a comment, that comment does not get posted until the admin okays it.
Right.
So whoever's administering that page, they can't just go off on a tirade without the admin seeing it and then saying, okay, but it's also not fair. I mean, I think you're always going to get backlash and negative comments.
Yeah, not everybody's.
But
gonna
I'm
do
saying
it.
it's hard. Like even the highway department's a pretty simple Facebook page, but I monitor it in the morning before we start work, and I monitor it when I get done work. And that's what needs to be done. And it's an extra 10, 15 minutes a day. And if there's people that respond, you got to respond back. So you're subjecting yourself to more time every day. Is all I'm saying. And I don't think any of you at this point need that. With some things going on, and we all have a lot on our plate. Every one of us here. I understand. And I know what Andrew's saying about there would be, people would like another way to communicate.
Yeah.
Because
Well, there's no discipline.
the world is a social media frenzy, and that's how, I mean, I won't lie to you, I get a kick out of it sometimes. I do.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I was talking to Linda about a study that just take 2 seconds. To address your point, the people that are interested, you know, the millennials who are living in the digital world, they just published a study on the rates of cancer. The rates of cancer are 50% greater in the millennial population than it is in the baby boomer population because of the anxiety that comes on by continuously being digitally connected.
Wow.
And it was stunning when I saw that. And so, you know, it's almost like we're getting into a toxic culture of communication. And, you know, is that something we want to bring into the town? But listen, if you can bring it in so it's more effective and it's positive, which was our, you know, the select board voted on this, and everything had to be positive here. We weren't going to allow negative or dispersionary comments, and we wanted to be efficient and move forward. If you can bring it through in that venue, I'm glad to look at it.
Okay.
Oops, yeah.
Just very quickly, if we do this and someone has to monitor this, it's gonna fall to Linda, and I don't think that's fair. I think her time, she's so busy.
Well, somebody's
There's so many important things that need to be done around
Right.
here, that monitoring Facebook should not be a part of it.
I would rather see a way, and I actually posed it to Andrew, to interact with this board electronically on your meeting night. And I'm not saying we have a Zoom but I'm saying right now is you can try to type in something. But
Yeah.
I think there should be something where, the Zoom thing is, there's a lot of credit to it, the fact that you can meet, I can look at Arnie and ask him a question, he can respond, we can go back, just like I was sitting here.
Right.
Except that, so I'd rather see that versus putting a Facebook page, because anybody can come in and say, Jordan, you don't know what you're talking about. But am I gonna say that to your face over Zoom? Probably not.
Right.
And I'm going to ask you a question, and if we disagree, finally just say, no. That's all I'm saying.
You gotta keep face-to-face social
Yeah.
interaction. Linda?
Well, what I was just gonna say, Paul mentioned that it would only take 15, 20 minutes a day or something
Yeah.
to monitor these things. I doubt it. The select board is gonna have a lot more volume than the highway department or the fire department. We're gonna get all these crazies out here. Ooh, I'm sorry. You know, making comments, and it's gonna take a lot longer than that. And having said that too, what John just said, maybe we should have the face-to-face Zoom meetings instead of just the telephone.
Communication is looking somebody in the eye, you know.
So if you had a screen and you could see me, and I could ask you a question, that's it.
I didn't see
I
what.
wonder if we had a laptop, if Andrew put up a Zoom meeting that anyone could call into, and you know, would be alerted, and you could have a laptop right here that you could answer a question and then go back to it.
It would be
You
better.
can actually put up a flat
projector
screen
screen.
television.
Yeah.
That's what we do now. We go onto it and there's a camera with a microphone in very well. And what happens is you're able to see the person if they want, but they're up on the screen and we go back and forth.
If you're gonna make comments, you should be visible.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. So first of all, on the Zoom topic, when I had been setting up the Zoom meetings, nobody actually joined at all. I put them out there on the Wentworth Bulletin Board.
You've done an
which-
admirable job.
Well, no. So
People aren't connecting.
And honestly, John, your wife made a comment. Jen Mead indicated that we really shouldn't be posting on the Wentworth Bulletin Board for probably things like the live stream that we're doing, any public notices that may be coming from Linda or any other thing notices that we may want folks to know on social media. That probably should be posted on a private page. That's what Jen wanted to indicate. But along the lines of the Zoom, I'm happy to continue that, but people need to actually participate. And people aren't participating even when I post them.
We've been at this since.
Yeah, however,
4
there's, look at the select board here has no, I mean, there was one laptop you guys used to have. It can go to a different level for not a lot of money.
You can
Okay.
literally have a smart TV
Yeah.
sitting up there where Jeff is, and they would be able to see
Instead of
everybody.
Jeff?
No, well, sitting up top there, I'm just
Generally on screen.
But a smart TV will do it. Is all I'm saying. It's not a big.
So I've been involved with things like that on a corporate level. I can give you all kinds of different examples of ways you can do things like that. Absolutely know exactly what you guys are talking about. Whether you guys want to spend the money to do that or not, I don't know. I mean, I'd love to actually see the participation on Zoom
Yeah.
before we even did that.
There's gotta be, right now
Yeah.
we have zero participation,
Right.
so I don't wanna spend.
The last call that we did, the last Zoom call, which was at least a couple meetings ago, literally nobody on the call.
But you were doing this at the same time. So I
That's-
will tell you,
that's-
I
that's correct.
defaulted to your YouTube because it was better, because of the fact is, there was no way to interact with this board. So I'm sorry, to clarify what I'm saying is that, I understand what you're saying. That right now is probably the better of the two, unless you had a screen that the board could talk to.
Okay.
And the Zoom meeting, that's my
It
point.
could be a warrant article thing that you could present, that town will vote to raise the money to do it.
Yeah,
All right.
if we got an estimate on numbers and.
John, maybe we can talk
Yeah.
on the side and maybe come up with
Exactly,
something.
maybe come up with
Yeah.
something.
In the meantime, to test the Zoom, wouldn't it be better just for three of you to bring in a laptop? So that at least you'll be able to see the people, they'll be able to see you.
I can't travel with my work laptop. That's the
There's a, if you don't mind me making a comment on that. So the problem with that is 3 different laptops means 3 different sets of audio,
Right.
3 different speakers, 3 different mics. They're gonna be massive problems right there. So what John was saying would be really more of the solution if you wanted like a larger screen with a
John.
microphone.
I think you two
So,
should get
yeah.
together.
Our office is set up right now, it was $500.
Okay.
A little camera and the flat screen, you go to BJ's right now, they're $350.
All right. Well, we can look at
Put
that.
it together,
We'll-
a proposal
Yeah.
and.
We'll put a
we're
proposal to the
open-minded.
board.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's better than Facebook.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
Right on.
Okay, any more
Okay.
comments? Palmer, anything?
I got nothing on that.
Say again?
Lots, but I won't do it now.
Okay.
I do have one more, if you don't mind. I'm sorry, I know.
That's
it's fine.
okay.
The one thing the town is lacking to Riverside Park is a way to get there by walking. The Pages property used to be when Arthur and Fran lived at the property. They always allowed you to go down through the stairs. There's a tenant in there now, that's no longer possible. So there is an issue with the fact is that now that you're gonna limit parking, and you also, by the way, I also have to remind you, we got one comment back was, let's close it to just townspeople, let them walk down from the common. I got somebody come back and says, well, wait a second, what about a handicapped resident? You know, how do I?
Yeah.
So one of those spaces has to be set aside for handicap.
Handicap.
And there's a lady out of Florida that came back to us, a resident.
Yeah.
But we looked at this seriously, Palmer and I discussed at one point, there's an eroding set of stairs that go down behind the library, which I know falls in the library thing. There's a flat field, and then there's another section that a rampway could be put down. So folks could park on the common, access through a town property, which is the Webster Library, and walk down to the park. I think it's lacking, I think we need to look into something, and that would be something for the committee to look at for you.
Yeah, I would look at that, but that would that falls under the bailiwick of the trustees of the library.
That's correct.
And, the other access point that people have been using now is to park on East Side Road.
It's pretty dangerous.
I know, and then they go down through there. They go down next to the Historical Society. There's a road down. Walk in that way. Okay.
Thank you.
So, are you gonna, you're gonna allow people to, say there's 5 parking, I have no idea how many you got in mind down there, but just say there's 5 parking spots down there, and that's all there is?
Right.
Are people allowed to park at
Right. Yes,
Okay, I just didn't know, I didn't know if that
the
would,
Hamilton Field or the old, town
I just
hall?
didn't know if that would happen or not.
Yeah.
It's harder, you'll get less people, but you'll get some.
So
There's
you definitely
people-
get some,
yeah.
crossing 25. That
Yeah,
was
there's
my-
people that walk down next to the historical, where you can drive down the back, they go right through there. And then there's some that go more adventurous and they go down through the bridge, right past with the
Yeah, it's
pages.
pretty
and whatnot.
dangerous.
Yeah. Okay. In view of that, I move to adjourn the meeting. Okay. 6:55.
We have that. Second that.
Why don't you second it?
I'll second it.
I'll vote yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. So